Welcome back. Now, before the break, we were talking to Home Secretary Jackie Smith about new government proposals to crack down on the sex trade. Men who have sex with women who've been forced into prostitution will now face prosecution.
Plus, curb crawlers are to be fined and persistent offenders will be named and shamed.
Well, we're joined now by Juliet, who is a sex worker, and writer Sebastian Horsley, who slept with around 1,000 prostitutes since he was a teenager, and Denise has stayed with us as well. Juliet, if I can come to you, I know you were listening to us talking to the Home Secretary there. What do you make of these proposals?
I'm prepared to believe they're well-intentioned. However, unfortunately, they will impact on everybody who works in the sex industry negatively, and they will impact most badly on the people who are most vulnerable. That's what most vulnerable means. It means when things get worse, they get worse for you first, they get worse for you faster. We're in a situation where of the groups of people who are most likely to see victims of trafficking, the real victims of trafficking who do exist in the sex industry, the people who like to see them are brothel owners, agency owners and clients. Brothel owners and agency owners are already criminalised. There have been cases when somebody's reported fears of trafficking that have been proven correct. The police have then gone back to them, arrested them, jailed them and seized their assets. That's a disincentive to report anxieties. We're now going to do that to clients.
You say you were talking there about it affecting those most vulnerable. Surely a young girl brought from somewhere in Eastern Europe with the promise of a job and money, who then ends up on the streets to try and repay the debts of the money that was, you know, sort of taken from her. You know, it's such a classic tale. Surely she is the most vulnerable.
Exactly, and that. I mean, she wouldn't be working on the streets, she'd be working indoors. But
no guarantee of that.
But, well, if you're trying to keep somebody prisoner, it's much easier to do it if they're working indoors than on the streets. But yes, of those people, we are doing nothing to help them. You suggested, I think, that we try and actually target traffickers. Clients are one of the sources of information on this. In Turkey, they set up a hotline for reporting fears about trafficking across the board: agriculture, hotel and catering, including the sex industry. 3/4 of the calls came from clients of sex workers, and they rescued more women. They closed down more trafficking networks than our own pentameter 1 achieved. Nationwide police operation, 7 months, 515 premises raided and 88 arrests. So actually clients are one of the best sources of information we have. The police, the chance of getting raided by the police are really small.
What do you make of her saying that, you know, if there was no demand, then you wouldn't need to supply, they wouldn't need to be supplying these girls?
Well, it's a very basic economic argument that there's actually no evidence to support. In the sex industry in London, yes, there is a large quantity, a really high proportion of migrant women working. But when was the last time you made coffee by somebody who is from this country? You know, Starbucks is run by migrant workers. And what has happened in the industry in London, London is anomalous. The proportion of migrants is far greater in London than in other cities at present. What has happened in London generally is that prices have remained static over the last 10 years, which implies that supply has increased, but demand has remained the same.
Yeah, but why? We were talking about the people who get caught up in this net, who are willing, and we say, you know, sort of sex workers, but prostitutes.
Yeah.
So you are a willing prostitute.
Yeah.
And this is a choice of career for you.
Yes, I love my job. I'm proud of what I do. I'm really privileged. I'm white, I'm educated, and I hold a British passport. These new proposals will make me more vulnerable. Yeah. And if they're going to hurt me, they're going to hurt everybody else.
Sebastian, you say you have slept since you were 15, 16 when you first slept with a prostitute. And you said over that time, probably in the region of about 1,000. So you're obviously not choosy. So would you be a guy who would be in any way affected by this new ruling?
1,000 prostitutes. Well, quantity is not quality, but even so, it's difficult not to be impressed, isn't it?
Not necessarily.
The point is, of course it wouldn't. I mean, the best things in life are forbidden. We want fruit because it's forbidden. Adam didn't want the apple for the apple's sake. He wanted it merely because it was forbidden. So the point is, even if you make laws are good fun because they're great things to break.
So that's why this will have no effect on you, because you'll be happy to break the law.
You can make me illegal as much as you want.
Have you ever been aware of any of the women that you've slept with that they were doing that against their will? And
that's a myth. It's one of
you?
these great myths, this trafficking thing. It's the same.
Well, it's clearly not a myth.
It's like a witch hunt.
Come on,
you know that's an outrageous
It's not.
thing to say.
That's not a myth.
Trafficking is a myth.
It's a myth. It's part of the rescue industry for the politicians and for the social workers and for the people who read The Guardian. If you talk to prostitutes, as I have done for 25 years, they don't find themselves to be exploited, but middle-class intellectuals who sit around formulating their opinions
Sebastian,
for them.
16...
No.
I'm sorry, because this is so outrageous. 16-year-old girls brought in from Eastern Europe on the promise of a job who end up locked up somewhere, being forced to have sex.
Where have you read this information?
Can I just say on that, though, by definition, these proposals, we're looking at criminalising. By definition, the people who will be dissuaded from paying for sex because of this are, by definition, the most law-abiding people, the people who are most likely to report.
Well, two observations. One is that sleeping with so many prostitutes has obviously addled Sebastian's brain, I'm afraid. Juliet, I think, had a very good point. There should be an opportunity for a man who, I think some men deliberately choose women who've been trafficked because there's an element of cruelty. She is my unwilling victim. But I think there will be other men who go in there who are, in fact, decent men, who will be quite appalled, and there should be an opportunity for them not to be criminalised and blow the whistle. That's an excellent, that's the most sensible thing I've heard.
And clearly, if by reporting you are implicating yourself in a crime, that is a disincentive to report, and that is what has happened in Sweden.
Can I ask you, if you were aware that a girl that you were paying was doing this against her will, would you report it? Would you feel a duty to report it?
The thing is, this whole new law is not only absurd, but it's unenforceable. If the police don't know who's trafficked, how is the client? The client goes up to a brothel, knocks on the door, tock, 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 hello, are you trafficked? No. Oh, all right then, fine. I mean, it's preposterous.
We've said that to Jackie Smith, how they're going to enforce it, Denise, and how would you know?
Because a man who is going somewhere for sex has not lost possession of his senses, and he can tell whether a woman is far from tears, whether she looks a waif and stray, as many of them do. Unless he is blindly thinking, I want satisfaction for myself and to hell with everything else, he is going to know he's in a dicey situation.
So it will make no difference to the way you live your life.
No, I like laws. It gives me something to break.
Oh.
There's no picture without a satisfactory frame.
You wouldn't care about the girl.
The problem, of course I care about the girls. They're my friends, they're my lovers, they're my muses.
But you must understand what you're saying.
The point is
a myth.
It is a myth.
You don't sound like you care at all.
Well, the thing is, the problem with politicians is that the difference between a prostitute and a politician is that a prostitute earns an honourable life. She earns an honourable wage. I mean, the
ones who are being held against their will.
Don't tell Mother I'm a politician. She thinks I'm a prostitute.
If you are spouting these platitudes to the women you're with, they must be bored to tears.
You don't know anything about it. I've worked in the industry for years. And my friends are prostitutes. I have friends who are muses. I'm an artist.
You've worked in the industry. I thought you were a client.
And what you want to do is to turn them into victims. And basically, they are people like you and I, and they have jobs, and they go to the cinema.
Nobody's arguing with that. Juliet is a happy woman.
Exactly.
You can have the final word.
Well, I would say Jackie Smith in her interview talked a little bit about having, just because something is difficult, that is no reason not to try to do it. Now, I would say, rather than trying to increase the criminalisation of people in the industry, to include sex workers, to treat us with respect, to grant us full human rights and the protection of law, that would take political courage, and that's what we would like to see from Jackie Smith.
Thank you all.
Thank you, and we'll see you after the break.